What's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Bludborn, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at the most recent update to the Lord of the Rings Online, Update 29, Wildwood. Now before we get started, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, and turn on the notifications so you get all notifications for future content on this channel. Alright, now with all that out of the way, let's get into the rest of the video here. So, where is Wildwood? Well, Wildwood is actually part of Breeland. It's in the upper northwest corner, currently where the Breeland portion of the map is. And I don't mean the region, I mean actually where it says Breeland on the current map. We're actually getting some new maps to address that. So Breeland, Ered Luin, and the Shire are all getting updated maps. Now there is something different about this region in particular as opposed to other updates. This one is actually targeted for level 45, and that's a pretty big departure from all of the other stuff that we've ever seen as far as updates for the game. Usually when we get an update, it is catered towards whatever the current level cap is. This is not that way. So this is giving players another opportunity while they're in that mid-level range to explore Middle-earth and see different areas and interact with other areas of the game. Along with this, we are seeing two new additional reputation factions. We're seeing the Woodcutters Brotherhood that's located in Trestlebridge. Now these guys are actually trying to use the resources of Wildwood to restore Trestlebridge and kind of fix it up after all the Blackfire attacks that happened several years ago at this point. And the other faction is actually located in Trader's Wharf, which is on the Brandywine River. These guys are actually a little down on their luck, and they're looking to use the Wildwood resources to turn a profit and become somewhat rich again. Now, at the time of this video, we don't have the full itemization, so we don't know all of the goodies that are coming from each of the factions or any of that stuff, so we'll have to have more to come on that and check in-game once it actually launches. Now, another thing that is coming with this particular region is some additional missions. Now, if you're not familiar with missions, this is a new system that was released with Update 28, War of Three Peaks, that is a different type of scalable, repeatable content that has an overarching deed pattern and things like that as well. So this looks like it's here to stay because it is being brought into this region and it is tying into the overall Wildwood experience. So what is this update gonna cost? Now, the most recent update, Update 28, was a big departure from all the previous updates in that it was a mini expansion. It had 3 tiers of purchasing, and it was not free for VIPs. Thankfully, we are going back to the previous model. So we're going back to where this is a free update for VIPs, and it will have a cost out of the LOTRO store with LOTRO points for any of the free-to-play or premium players. Again, at the time of making this video, we don't have a firm cost on it, but the way it sounds, since there are new features, region content, and dungeons associated with this update, it looks like it's probably going to fall anywhere in the 1,000 to 2,000 range, so probably look for around 1,500 LOTRO points for this update. Now, speaking of level cap, there is not an additional level cap increase with this update. So at this point, it does look like we're going to be hanging around level 130 till at least Gundabad in the fall. Along with not receiving any updates to our characters' levels, we are also not seeing any additional work being done to LIs at this point, or legendary items. So we are not seeing any legacy tier increases, we're not seeing any DPS or healing increases, or anything like that at this time. So kind of bittersweet, because I know a lot of us were waiting for those updates, and well, it sounds like it was a little bit more challenging than they originally thought. Now that's not to say that your level 130 isn't going to have anything to do. You're actually going to get an increase to your virtue cap. So instead of 72, it is getting raised to 74. Now overall, this isn't a huge change. You're looking at a couple percentage points here and there. So it's not going to be making or breaking things, but it is giving you some of that min-maxing stuff that you can work on your max level characters. Now I think one of the biggest pieces of information to come out of this update is that we are getting 4 new instances. Now we're getting 2 seasonal ones as part of the Spring Festival, and we are getting 2 what are probably going to be more classified as endgame instances. So as far as the seasonal ones go, we have Bee's Big Business, which is a very odd instance, and where you're helping Grimbjorn and his standing dogs, along with some bumblebees, and you have to go pollinate the fields and whatnot. And well, if you played during March of the King, you might get a little triggered because we're going to be having to pick some flowers again. I don't know what it is with this game and picking flowers. I really don't. Now, Bee's Big Business can actually be done in a variety of levels, a variety of group sizes, but it is limited to a tier 1. So this can be done all the way from level 10 all the way up to 130, and it can be done in group sizes of 1, 2, 3, and 6. Now, the other part of the seasonal instances is actually going to be another boss from the vaults. So now we've seen these in the past with Storvagun in the Winter Festival, and we've seen Thrang in the Summer Festival. Well, now we're actually getting Naruel, the Red Maid, for the Spring Festival. Now, we didn't get to see how much this fight actually resembles the original fight way back in Garth Garwin, but needless to say, it is nice to have another boss, and probably look to see having another boss to fill out all the seasons at some point in the future. Now, this particular boss from the vault is going to be available from level 30 all the way up to level 130, with tiers 1, 2, and 3 being available at all level ranges that are available. So let's move on to the 2 traditional instances. So we're going to have Agaroth, the Narrow Delve. Now, this is up in Yakuru in Forokel, and anytime we get one of the ice dungeons, I think it's actually really cool. I love what they do with the art style in here, and there's actually a very, very cool story in here. So if you like the story, say around book 10, I think you're going to really enjoy what is done with the story in Agaroth, the Narrow Delve. Now, the Narrow Delve can actually be done in group sizes of 1, 2, and 3. And it actually has a difficulty rating of tier 1. However, tiers 2 and 3 are available at level 130, with a Lead the Charge title available for completing tier 3 difficulty at 130. And finally, out of the last 2 instances, we actually have Woe of the Willow. Now, Woe of the Willow is located in the Old Forest. I know some of you are already worried about that getting lost, and trust me, there are places to get kind of turned around inside this particular instance, so have fun with that. But this is a particular instance where we have to go help Old Man Willow, and we get visited by an old jolly friend. Now, this particular instance does scale in group size 1, 2, and 3, also having the ability to do this one from level 20 all the way up to 130, with tiers 2 and 3 difficulty being available at 130, with a Lead the Charge title available completing tier 3 difficulty. Now, personally, one of the cool updates I think that is coming has to do with the current Remmorchant raid gear and how it's acquired and its availability. So if you go in and you acquire a piece of gear that is for a different spec. So for myself as a champion, if I go in and I get a tanking piece of gear, what is nice now is I can actually go in with no deed restriction and swap that piece of gear at the vendor. So I can go get a offensive version of that piece of gear. They're removing the deed restriction on that because you already have an equivalent piece of gear. So that is acting as your deed gate right there. Now, some of the other stuff that they're changing as far as this goes is the different pieces of gear are removing the gates or lowering the gates so that it's more accessible. In the case of the gold helmets, however, those are still retaining the tier 3 gate, but it is lowering the cost from about 9,000 embers down to 7,500 embers for that piece of gear. There are more specifics on this update on the forums, in the patch notes, so if you're curious about the exact specifics of it, go ahead and check those out. One of the last pieces of this update is actually a technical one in regards to graphics. Now, this is a very small update. This is specifically for lighting. There is a new feature in your advanced graphics options if you are running a DX10 or DX11 version of the client, and it's called per pixel lighting attenuation. Now basically what that fancy term means is that the lighting will look a little bit different, mainly on interiors. It doesn't do a whole lot for exterior lighting, but if you're in a dungeon or if you're in a mead hall or something like that, you will notice that a lot more of the features kind of pop. Basically, you're going to see shadows cast in a different way. Now there is a video, and I'll link it right here, where you guys can go check out some of those examples and let me know what you think about that. All right, so it's going to wrap up this video, but just to recap, with this update, we are getting a new region of Wildwood. We're getting 2 new reputation factions, 4 new instances that have varying difficulties, varying levels, and scaling. We are also getting the updated accessibility to the Remmorchant raid gear, and we are also getting the update to the lighting system. So I am curious to see what you guys think about this update. Let me know in the comments, and I hope to see you all very soon in the next video or in the live streams over on Twitch. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.